Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to NYU Tandon and welcome to the National Offshore Wind Research and Development Consortium's 4th symposium here at NYU. Welcome both to everyone here in the room today and welcome to everyone who is watching us live streamed from all over the world. While people are still trickling in here to the room where we are today, I just want to give you a heads up that we might have quite a few sort of like engineering students joining us today. So if you see a young and unfamiliar face, smile back at them and share your insights with them, please. We are here to hopefully get many more young folks into this industry together with us as well. Today's program, we're going to spend the next hour and 15 minutes together with the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub Cohort, which you will learn much more about. We're then going to have a little break, and then we're going to continue on this afternoon with a panel of our esteemed developers who are going to share their thoughts on the future of offshore wind. We're going to end out today with a keynote session by our conference host from the National Offshore Wind Research and Development Consortium. But without further ado, I want to introduce our first little introductory keynote speaker, my very own boss, Pat Sapinsley, here from the Urban Future Lab to share a little bit of insights on the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub. So welcome to the stage.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to NYU Tandon School of Engineering. I am indeed Pat Sapinsley, but nobody is Tona's boss. Nobody. I'm the managing director of the Urban Future Lab, which is the umbrella organization of several incubators under which the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub sits. And I'm here to tell you about the wonderful work of everything other than the Offshore Wind Incubation Hub, because you're going to learn a lot about that today. We're part of NYU Tandon School of Engineering. We're a not-for-profit. We take no equity in our companies. Over the last 10 years, we have grown from one incubation program to 5 or 6. I'm losing count. All of our programs help climate tech entrepreneurs to achieve scale and to deploy their climate tech solutions. We're currently running the original program, that's the Acre Incubator, which is it's sector agnostic for anything in the climate tech world. Then we're also running a few incubators and accelerators that are particular verticals like this one. We're running one called C2V, which is for carbon to value, together with partners at Greentown Labs and Fraunhofer USA. We're running as you know, we're running this one with partners Equinor BP and New York City Economic Development Corporation, as well as now RDC. Innovate UK is a program we're running together with the government of the UK to help UK climate tech companies to scale up in America. We also have a certificate granting educational program for career changers who want to come into this industry. It offers a certificate in clean energy from the NYU School of Professional Studies. All right, the accomplishments of our members speak volumes about the quality of our programs, the quality of our entrepreneurs, the quality of our collaborative efforts. Our companies have an 88% survival rate since 2009, which for startups is off the charts. Generally, it's closer to an 80% failure rate. They have raised $2.3 billion in funding from the private sector, and that's with the help of our little not-for-profit. So that's unprecedented as well. They've created 4,000 jobs or more. It's hard to keep track. And we have a really impressive return on investment from the funding that NYSERDA has given us. For every dollar NYSERDA gave us, our companies have raised $288 in the private sector, so that's your taxpayer dollars at work. None of this would have been possible without brilliant entrepreneurs and wonderful collaborative partnerships. It's very important to collaborate. None of us are going to be able to tackle climate change alone. So I want to thank our partners on this program, now RDC, Equinor, BP, New York City Economic Development Corporation. And if you want to learn anything more about what we do at all of the other incubators, our URL is ufl.nyc, very easy. So thank you, welcome to NYU, and I can't wait to hear what the panel has to say.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's James Cotter. It's a real honor to be here with this panel. I think I'll just start by saying that energy has shaped our past, and I have absolutely no doubt it will shape our future. Offshore wind, I'm relatively biased. I think offshore wind is fantastic. It is a source of green prime energy that we really need within the energy system to move away from the heavy carbon load that we have today to a future which has significant reductions within it. I think I read there are statistics everywhere. I read that the offshore wind market could be 350 gigawatts by 2035 installed. That's huge. The challenge in front of the offshore wind industry is huge. The growth rate of offshore wind is huge, and that is really exciting. Because if we do what we've done, we won't always get what we've always got. So we have to improve the way that we deliver and the way that we implement offshore wind. And R&D and innovations are going to be central to that. And developers tend to look at what's in front of us in the here and now and get really focused on the challenges that we see on a daily basis. It's the small companies, the innovation, that bring the energy and the excitement, that have to try and convince us as developers to actually listen that there's a better way. And then more difficult, probably, get us to believe in it so much that we move through contract and actually put it into practice. And we will need every piece of R&D out there and every new technology to really hit the goals that we all need. So really excited for this panel. It could be relatively short. If I ask how it went in the last 6 months and they say terrible, we'll have a short interlude for the snacks at that point, but hopefully not. I'll give each of you 2 minutes to introduce yourselves, and then we can start. So,
thanks, James. I'm Silvan Slijpen from Herema Engineering Solutions, and we provide engineering and consultancy for the offshore construction of wind farms. And as a company, over the last 6 months, we have developed a software tool that allows developers to better understand the risk related to construction, where we model the complete construction process, basically, in a simulation that allows you to understand the weather risks, the biological, the bioenvironmental risks related to, for example, right whales, but also the role that human error plays in construction and how much delay you might get due to those kind of risks, basically. Improving the basis for your costing of your construction. So that's a bit about Herema Engineering Solutions and about myself.
Hello, my name is Jörgen Drönnan. I am the Chief Sales Officer in OSC. So OSC is a company that does bespoke simulations and also digital tools. So we are now developing a tool that we are going to provide to customers where they can build their own simulations, meaning all of the hydrodynamics, all of the mathematical models, everything be put into our platform to be able to simulate, to be able to plan, and to be able to mitigate risks and also to do workforce training.
Hello, my name is Eagle. I'm the founder of Vinci Virtual Reality. We create VR workforce development and training solutions. I guess our use cases are two. First is most young people in the US have no idea what offshore wind is. I've heard everything from, oh, they're just giant fans to cool down the planet, right? That's how we're going to fight global warming. So we're starting there. So educating students about what wind is, what the different careers are. So we have like little VR experiences where you can like live out a welder's day in the life or a wind technician. And then the second use case is training itself. So safety training, as well as being able to integrate it into certification training as well. So.
Fantastic. So starting with yourself at the end, obviously this journey started for all of you 6 months ago, and you're assigned within the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub, everyone is assigned with a mentor. How have you found the relationship with the mentor, and what are the two things that you think have really changed your perception of offshore wind or given you a direction that you'd like to comment on?
Yeah, I would say, are there any startups in the audience by any chance? Minus the actual incubators. All right, well, I guess with every accelerator, you get what you put in. So, you know, obviously the mentors that you're assigned to, they have full-time jobs at Equinor. Like, this is not, mentoring you is not their full-time job. So you really have to kind of be more proactive with it. So that's one of the first things I learned. And generally in offshore wind in general, like the industry exists. They've built farms way before we existed as a company. So there's already a way of doing things. So if you want to actually bring a new technology to a slower moving industry at times, you had to be proactive. So I guess the other benefits was our mentor was able to connect us to other people within the Equinor team, where we learned a lot about what does safety mean. I've never worked offshore, so a lot of the concepts of like was a safety culture, how do you train for that, how do you build for that, actually influenced a lot of our development itself for our VR simulations.
Jürgen, how does that chime with your?
Yeah, I definitely want to latch on to what Eagle said, that basically the mentors have been there kind of helping us, but we've really had to kind of like put in the effort ourselves, of course. But they have been helping us with like networking, making new connections within the Equinor system, of course, and helping us kind of understand how to conduct business in the US, which have been really helpful. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, to add to that, Jürgen, I think indeed we had the regular setup with calls every 2 weeks with our mentor, where we discussed our progress in the program, which also helped us to steer. He helped us to steer our progress and our questions a bit, and also allowed us to reach out to the right people within the Equinor organization to understand if certain assumptions we took for our business model, for example, are correct. And in addition to that, we really found that although we looked across the complete Equinor portfolio, you need to be at the right moment or at the right time with the right project to allow them to understand what kind of added value your tool can bring at that point in time. And that really, therefore you really need to take time, and the 6 months we had were quite short, I guess, to really get to the right people in the right time and explain them correctly how much added value we could bring with our solution.
Fantastic. And when you started, what are the things that you went through either in the working sessions that you just didn't expect or weren't thinking that you would need to do that have made the biggest change to the approach you have now?
I think that we learned a lot, like by kind of joining this program that we didn't really kind of anticipate. I think that we learned a lot on like what strategic directions we needed to take on like our technology development. That has also been quite a learning with the Equinor mentors, that like you're a developer and you know how to develop these fields. That's quite new to us. Our software is quite generic. We come from oil and gas, but are moving heavily in towards offshore wind. And it's kind of a bit of a different way of thinking, even though there are similarities. So I would say, yeah.
Were you surprised at how much education you did of the developer on what your tool or your systems could do versus?
Yes, and to be honest, like Equinor is just quite a big beast of a company. So it is, as Silvan says as well, it's like getting to kind of get to communicate to the correct person within the correct project. It's very vital. So yes, we always have to like educate people in using our tool, educate people what are the return of investment, what are the benefits about using it.
And Igor, the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub obviously comes with a lot in New York. How did you find that potentially opened or created opportunities?
So I will say what I've learned about working in New York. So we have customers now in New York after we started.
That's worth a cheer,
So
isn't it?
right across the street, our first major customer, the City University, City Tech of the CUNY system. They actually pre-ordered our newest wind turbine VR module. So it wasn't even built yet, and they're like, we want it. Among other customers in New York. So I think what I learned is like, if you want to do business in New York, it's face to face. You gotta sit across the table from someone, and it helps a lot when you actually have like almost like a base of operations in the city, at the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub. Like if you go to the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub right now in Da Vinci space, it's chaos. There's just cardboard boxes everywhere. We have little plushies. They are just strewn across the floor. There's headsets everywhere. But yeah, that's where we fulfilled all of our orders to mail headsets and products to the customers in New York. That's where we have meetings. Like it's actually a huge benefit to have like a physical operations center pretty much here in New York. Yeah.
I'm hearing we need to pair you with a mentor from operations for clean warehousing. It's
Yes.
worth a note for next time.
I just want to add in that, like, we also deliver like these physical simulators, and they're much bigger than Eagles. So he has kind of a benefit there of actually being able to send the stuff. But we also see that like having boots on the ground here in New York is very important. So using the intern that we've had the pleasure of having has been kind of vital as well.
I think to add to that, Jürgen, that if you look not only at New York, but also at the wider USA and the Northeast region, so a lot of developers are in Boston, and being here, being present, having indeed the option to come to the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub as an office space allows us to be here and go to these people in person and introduce the company face to face, which has definitely helped us to build a solid basis of contacts that will potentially become clients in the next year or 2 years. So with that respect, it has really added a lot of value to us.
So we've heard it's not always an easy ride in the Innovation Hub, which is right. But what would you say was the most challenging aspect of the work that you were given?
I think for me that was really, if you do this, you need to spend a substantial amount of time to get it off the ground, and especially the first part where you need to gain that momentum and really make it work. It's not something that the hub will do for you. You need to put that time in, you need to put that effort in to make it basically work. And in order to really start to look at the American market and look at the people or the companies that you need to speak to and how to address them, what kind of pitch you're going to give at these different companies. But when you are through that first phase of starting up and putting time and effort in it, it actually starts to become fun. And then it's a lot more easy to follow this road, I would say.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to latch onto that. So like one thing is like the time and kind of like the money that you need to invest. We are based in Norway, so like the time difference and actually having to travel here is of course an investment. But we've made a lot of good connections, a lot of new friends, and we are definitely going to keep up the momentum and build on those relationships, and hopefully some of these contacts will be potential users of our system. So, yeah.
I would say the hardest part of being an entrepreneur is knowing what to do. And I think that rings true here as well. We're giving a lot of resources, but I felt definitely in the beginning a little overwhelmed. Just Equinor, as you guys mentioned, is a big company with projects all around the world. We even had a session where someone from Equinor came and explained all the dozens of offshore wind projects and everything. So not really knowing where does one start has been hard. Well, that was definitely hard for sure in the beginning.
And just building on the kind of learning and the collaboration aspect. I mean, it is all about collaboration within the cohort, going through this as a cohort. Have any of you had a moment and that interaction with a fellow cohort member that has shaped or that has changed your approach, or even got a combined offering on the table? So have you come greater than the sum of the parts, I guess, is the...
I can start on that one. So today we have not yet offered anything together, but of course we have worked quite intensively together through the workshops, where the hub allowed us basically to put our biggest problem on the table, and then we work together to try and find solutions for our major issues, or for the major issues of the different, or challenges, I should say, of the different companies, just to understand, okay, how would you attack the problem? I think that already helped a lot, and I think there are definitely opportunities for collaborations here in the near future, and maybe in the further future as well. But every company here is also really developing their own business. So the focus is really on developing our own business at this point, and looking at what we can do within this market, and that collaboration part, will ideally follow as well.
Yeah, so kind of the same. I don't have any concrete examples where we like cooperated, but we have had many workshops where we've talked together on how like to do business. Could there be potential for collaboration? So we've been having chats with Eagle and about potential collaborations, how we could approach like different universities, etc. So definitely, I think we've made some good friends, and if someone needs a VR training solution, I know where to point them, and the same for like any planning solutions, I know where to point them. So yes.
So no concrete products, but definitely friends. I came in from Germany because I was visiting Flukto. I didn't even know. I met this guy, 4 months ago, 6 months ago? Literally 6 months ago. And I've never been to Germany, and I went to visit him and his lovely wife. So friends, for sure, lifelong friends probably, realistically, yeah.
And you're hooked, man. we won't let you go.
And if obviously, as the cohort comes to an end, what are your hopes and aspirations for the next few years in terms of the connections that you've made, in terms of the relationship with Equinor, BP, the Innovation Hub? Can you just touch on what you would, if you had a magic wand, contracting aside, what? How are you going to take this forwards?
I think, a major achievement would be to really have foot on the ground here as a company in the US. Have all the major developers that are currently active in the US, or at least half of them, as an active client in our client portfolio, using either our engineering and consultancy services or using our software, really drawing from the knowledge that we have in the Netherlands currently to really develop these US projects, especially related to offshore construction, where you see that there's a lot of hurdles that we have already taken in the Netherlands, and in the wider Europe, I think also in Denmark, in France, that we bring this knowledge over here to the US to support the US to not have to take those hurdles, or at least understand them. That would be really, my magic wand moment, James.
And what would you say to people that say Herma in an innovation hub? I mean, you're a big company, you're established. How would you respond to that, and that it's been of value, I hope?
Where we would take the engineering and consultancy more to a higher level, and say, okay, we are going to educate the people here in the US. I think if we grow our team, the engineering part of Herema is currently around 40 people. So if you would grow that engineering team, we would really aim to become the world's leader in engineering and consultancy for offshore construction, and really facilitate indeed this knowledge transfer from ourselves at that point to students and new companies that are active in specific parts of the market. Yes, but we're talking the longer future, the bigger horizon. Let's say.
Fantastic. Eagle, how have you found the magic wand thinking of what you hope to take from this?
I think we'll always have a relationship with the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub. I was going to do this tomorrow, but I might as well say it. I plan on donating some headsets to the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub. Tona, you have to drop off some headsets tomorrow. So that there's always something for people to use. And if I could wave a magic wand, I think education in the U.S., especially as an American has gone through the education system, has improvements to be made about how we teach our students. And in an ideal world, I would love to see Vinci headsets be a cornerstone of education in New York City for students about renewable energy, about careers, about science, math. That's a big dream of mine. I think with Equinor's help, that might be possible.
That's fantastic. Last question to Jürgen.
Yes, so I do, of course, hope that we will still have a thriving relationship with Equinor. We've been working with them for many, many years in oil and gas, and hopefully we'll continue on working with them for many years in offshore wind. If I can wave the magic wand, I definitely want to be the industry standard when it comes to our simulation software being used for bespoke simulations and installations. And I definitely want to open up a US-based offshore wind competency center where our technology, along with other technologies, hopefully, can be made available for not only Equinor, but other developers and installation companies, etc.
Fantastic. And very briefly from each of you, for the next cohort, what would you say, or what one piece of advice would you give to the next cohort, or people that are sitting there thinking, should I or shouldn't I go forward into something like the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub? What would be your advice?
You want me to start? I can start. If you haven't figured it out already, what is the end goal that you would want? Is it a contract with Equinor, for example? And then from there, when you meet your mentor, you should let them know and work backwards on how to get there. Otherwise, I think for us, we had too vague of a general idea, and that's when we started getting lost in the weeds a little bit. So it's, had we had a more concrete kind of idea, we would have been connected to, I feel like right now we are connected to the right people to an extent, but that just took longer than probably should have. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely set realistic goals because 6 months just goes really, really fast. And yeah, budget for plane travels and hotels. That's expensive here in New York.
It is.
Beside that, I think also looking back, the added value of the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub really is also the amount of social events, the networking events that we got through, which we got to know a lot of potential clients, developers, but also contractors. And through that, we have been able to get a really good picture of the market. So even though you might have a kind of idea of what you want to get out of it, you might end up with a completely different result, still being very valuable for your company. So that's something that we also found to be the case for us, where we really learned something about the American market, while we were very much striving for a technical goal.
Fantastic. No, well, I hope everyone can join me in thanking all three of you for this great panel. I think we've all heard loud and clear you absolutely get what you put in, that you thought it was amazing. I think I'll paraphrase as an innovation hub. The mentors for Equinor were far superior than you expected. And more importantly, developers sometimes can't see the nose on their own face. And there's a great idea out there. I think the progress you've all made, each of the individual companies in the cohort has been so impressive to witness. just think that what you have is, or what you're trying to create is a pearl, and pearls are created through energy, constant pressure, and irritation. And it's the developers that will feel the irritation, so keep doing what you're doing, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
So it's my pleasure to introduce Jake Russell, operating partner at Propeller, who will be moderating the next panel on strategies for growth.
Thank you, James. Let's sit underneath our pictures.
Okay. You're right.
Luck. Yeah. Hello, everybody. So we're here to start the second panel. The remaining three members of the cohort of the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub. I'm Jake Russell, operating partner with Propeller. Propeller is an ocean climate tech VC firm focused on early stage startups, pre-seed and seed level in the ocean space. And offshore wind is definitely a field that we're very interested in, and it was really exciting to meet these cohort members and kind of follow them along their journey. I think I met them at the kickoff meeting, a lot of them, and I've seen them a couple times along the way. And you know, as VC, we're always looking for really exciting startups and very strong founders that you know we can help support along their way. And I think the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub is a really fantastic way to get them to a level that's ready for VC investment. So excited to see where these cohort members continue on their journey. This panel, if the first one was kind of focused on their experience in the program and their innovation and technology development, this one is more focused on catalyzation of business development and commercialization. You know, coming from often academia or kind of tech innovations, it's a challenge for startups sometimes to figure out how to use those technologies to solve real commercial problems. And a big part of this cohort was dedicated to performing that business development. So it requires a balance between the tech and business, and the cohort was mainly focused on finding strategies for company expansion, helping them with client acquisition, revenue growth, branding, and we're hoping to hear a bit more about that today from these panelists. So I'll give you each a few minutes to introduce yourselves, starting with Jason, founder and CEO of Arcam Technologies.
Great, thank you. So I'm Jason Cottrell, the founder and CEO of Arcam. We have offices and people in LA and Boulder, and hopefully, with a little bit of luck, next week we'll also have an office here in New York. What we do is we use 3D printing technologies with concrete to manufacture a portfolio of products for offshore wind. So that includes several types of anchors. We have conceptual designs for fixed bottom foundations, floating foundations, and then we also have a subsea energy storage system. All of this manufactured with the same equipment, same workforce, domestic materials, and a relatively small footprint, ideally in ports like here in Brooklyn and other ports around the world. Thank you.
So I'm Carolina Gomez, co-founder and CEO of Flucto. And at Flucto, what we do is we strive to be the digital glue to put all the data around the installation of offshore wind turbines in one place in real time to help improve the decision-making process during the installation and for future references to improve the process. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ulrich Soderstrom. I'm one of the co-founders with Benchmark Labs. We provide point-specific weather forecasting, so looking 15 days into the future. We do this for the offshore wind industry, and the reason we do this is for the last 80 years or so, we've done weather forecasting the same way, right? We divide the world into boxes, like on a Rubik's Cube, and everyone in each box gets exactly the same forecast. That works reasonably well if you're wondering if it's going to rain in Brooklyn, but works really poorly if you're managing 200 offshore wind turbines all in an array that are creating microclimate effects to those around them. There's also significant challenges for vessels that are going out to do installations and repairs, and a lot of that is due to whales and weather. So we provide each individual turbine its own weather forecast. We also provide forecasts for offshore buoys at specific points and to the specific ports.
Thank you, everybody. So we'll start out with the highlights. During this 6-month program, I want you all to tell me what were the 2 main business development achievements that you made with the support of the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub? And we'll start with you.
Great, yeah. So for us, the development was a strategic decision, right? And you make a lot of decisions in startups, you have to daily, but some decisions are absolutely critical. And when we started the program, we looked at New York, and we're primarily based in Los Angeles. We said, well, yeah, we'll consider we'll consider hiring somebody in New York. But now the strategic decision is you absolutely have to be in New York. You have to be here. You heard it in the previous panel. You have to have boots on the ground. And in our case, the follow-on key point to that is we're about to close on one of the world's largest 3D printers that will be here in New York and potentially one day relocated to Brooklyn. So that would give us a full-scale manufacturing capability for our anchors that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world.
When you say one of the world's largest 3D printers, we're not talking benchtop. We're not talking even bed size. How big is this?
Yeah, so the 3D printer will print about half the size of this room, 8 stories tall, right? So that cutting-edge technology, full-scale manufacturing capability really doesn't exist elsewhere.
I would call that business development, and that was kind of was that deal engineered with help of the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub, or did anything influence that?
Yeah.
decision?
So the first step is the strategic decision. You have to know there's risk in buying that printer, and you have to make the strategic decision of okay, we're going to take those risks to buy that printer. Because it's going to be worth it, or we think it's going to be worth it. So, and that requires meeting people here in New York, witnessing the support of people like NYEDC and the Urban Future Labs and the National Offshore Wind R&D Consortium and Offshore Wind Innovation Hub. So it's really that ecosystem that gave us the confidence that said, you know what, let's go for it. This is top priority for us. And this is where we want to focus.
And Carolina, what were some of your main business development achievements?
Yes, I'm going to piggyback into the strategic part because, you must know we are a really small, really fresh startup from the north of Germany. We're only 8 people in the team. And we're unconventional in the way that we start kind of backwards. We have our first customers, because we needed to get money into the company. And then we really have to learn, or we have so much help through the Innovation Hub to learn to concentrate into the strategic part, to get our product development. We have offered some services, we have some customers, but we really didn't have at the beginning a product that we could go and sell to the next customer. So that was the major focus for our team, was to really find what's going to be our product, what is the thing that we're going to sell. And the second success, I will say, is we have a new contracts for next year for those products that we designed this year. So, yeah.
That's great. Congrats. And was that, the experts in residence, the entrepreneurs in residence, kind of helped you determine what your potential product pipeline could be, or was it more kind of like customer interviews supported by the hub?
Both. They really took us from their hand and say you have to put it down, concentrate into where do you want to go back to the vision that we originally have, because this vision to have the digital glue to put all the information together, and we were playing ping pong with our mentors to see what is the real value added that we want to offer and that we can offer, and yeah, also to have some introductions to possible customers, to talk directly with them, to see, is this value for you, or better to let them tell us what are their necessities so that we can fine-tune our product that is good for the market. Yeah.
And Ulrich, how about you?
I think I'd echo the first one, which is really the network offered by the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub and Equinor, not only from our mentors, but the different speakers that they brought in that were from the New York Economic Development Corporation, and just other players in the offshore wind industry that were really important to us to determining who our buyers were. Because lots of people that are concerned about weather and optimizing their vessels going out, but understanding who has the go or no-go decision actually takes some time, and then building those relationships, figuring out when the proposal processes are going in place is really important. And then the second piece is data sources and getting connected to necessary data for our algorithms.
How did you get connected to those new data sources?
Yeah, great question. So there's an organization called MetOcean that we connected with for offshore buoys. So right outside of here in New York, for the Empire and Beacon Wind projects, there are stationary buoys, and we can tie into those buoys and then take the wave forecasts from the National Weather Service or IBM, and then we do a refinement of those large-scale gridded forecasts down to that specific buoy. So we kind of remove the bias through machine learning between those two data sources. So getting connected there was huge. By working with Flucto, we're actually connecting to some of our first Vestas turbines, which we're very excited about, in another project. So that's a fellow Cohort company in that way. And then the third piece is actually working with some of the Brooklyn-based terminals to do some weather forecasts at the port to tie into weather stations. So all three components came together.
That's awesome. Love seeing the different connections made through like place-based cohort and also just within the cohort members. Thinking back on the kind of 6-month journey that you've had now, do you think there was, can you pinpoint a precise moment, a eureka moment where, it was a customer call, a meeting, or maybe even like a water cooler chat with someone else in the cohort that really kind of crystallized one of these business development achievements that you've talked about? Maybe we'll start with Ulrich this time.
Yeah, I think on the buyer side, so speaking to some of the developers during the program and hearing that, hey, when we have unnecessary standby days during installations, we can lose anywhere from $300,000 to $800,000 a day. So when we think about, as an early stage company, pricing, the need for a product, it really showed why we were in this industry. I think we initially came in because of operations and maintenance, so preventing this 20% downtime for the turbines that we see, say, in the North Sea, where they're in need of repairs and boats have to go out to do those repairs. But this was really about the installation portion, which wasn't something we thought about.
Yeah, in our case, it's more like an anecdote. Oh, yeah, an anecdote. We were in one of the sessions during the workshops from the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub, and we have the job to present our product, or how would you present it to investors or to customers? And we bump. We were so focused into succeed with our current customers and with our current projects that we kind of forgot the overview, and we couldn't really sell it. So we got the feedback from all the peers in the group, and also then we directly were going to our mentors from Equinor, James from Equinor and Heidi from NYSERDA, said, hey, we have a huge trouble because we don't know what we're selling. What do we do? And yeah, that's where they put us together and say, who is going to be your customer? Let's go there, start from there, and then go into what you do and what you can do to offer them. So yeah, that was the moment.
And hopefully that moment was at the very beginning of the cohort, and it was all up from there, right?
It was kind of like in the middle,
Okay.
but we came through.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to crash and burn before you can rise from the ashes.
Yes, exactly.
Jason, what was a eureka moment for you?
Yeah, so my personal eureka moment was actually on the pitch day. So the first time came to Brooklyn, I think I'd been here one time before, and it was at Industry City. And if you've never been to the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub or Equinor's offices, they're awesome. But it's also there's a rows of buildings. So my pitch is coming up, and in 15 minutes or so. And I can't find the right building, and I can't find the right door. And it was a little bit of a panic moment because this is a great opportunity to be able to pitch your ideas to Equinor and the hub. And so fortunately, I called. I can't remember who I called, but I called someone, and minutes before the presentation, we found the right door, the right elevator, and made it there. And that's when it was kind of clear to me that you kind of need somebody to show you around a little bit to help you out in New York if you want to be in part of these markets. And then when you go up and you walk into the office, you walk to the back of the office. And keep in mind, we had examined the South Brooklyn terminal site with Google and Google Maps and looked at pictures. But when you walk in and you walk to the back and you see the South Brooklyn terminal and you see the Statue of Liberty kind of in the background, that was a real eureka moment that, oh, this is cool, this is happening, this is how it happens, and it's happening here. So from there, it went on to the bookstore pitch event, which was awesome. So you look at the panel of people that were on that panel, all experts, diverse. Basically, they were there to support you and also select the right technologies. And that was a very cool venue, right? I mean, that's going to be a highlight in my career. And that's where, you realize, of course, we know this, but until you experience, New York is hip, right? It's happening there in New York City. You got to be here. So, yeah, there were some other developments, but I think, to me, that was the clearest and most substantial for us.
You heard him, folks. It's New York. You got to be here if you want to do offshore wind. Yeah, and if you haven't been to the Brooklyn terminal down south, it is quite the sight. It's it really crystallizes this is where it's going to happen with Equinor and the Innovation Hub. Offshore wind is a notoriously difficult industry to start to sell into as a startup, right? So, were there any moments in the 6-month kind of process where you realized something was like, oh, this is actually way harder part of the kind of business development than I thought it would be, and realized you needed to kind of focus and spend more time on that? Ulrich, you're nodding.
Yeah, absolutely. I think determining our buyers was one of the challenges, and we were getting kind of sent in circles, especially because there's still a lot of development to be done, right, in the U.S. market. So, we'd spoke to Edison and Harima and Equinor. Okay, who's making the decision on when a boat goes out, and who's losing money due to standby days, due to weather? And they all say, that's a huge problem. We think Equinor would make that decision. And Equinor says, that's a huge problem. We think Harima would make that decision. And Harima says, that's a huge problem. We think Edison would make that decision. And so really pinning that down and getting the correct people in the room and getting the right introductions in was mission critical. And now we're putting together pricing proposals for vessel companies. So we went over that hurdle, which is great.
Exactly that. Yeah, really, really, that was one of the hardest things, to get to the important people, or to the important people for us, to figure out what's the right developments and who is the decision maker in the companies to stay in contact with them. But one of the greatest help that we received from our mentors was not only introductions, but also the tips on how to approach those contacts and which contacts to look for the future. So.
All right, there's a big difference between the user and the buyer, often in these big corporations, right?
Yes.
So, Jason, how about you?
Yeah, so the hardest part that became very clear was that in an interview, one of the experts explained you need to be TRL 7. We have hardware that needs to be qualified, so it needs to be technology readiness level 7. That means, for example, in our anchors, they need to be deployed and tested in the ocean. That's a big step. And then another key question that we were asked is, well, it's going to take a long time to get these floating wind, these systems out there, and therefore your anchor market. What are you going to do in the meantime? And so, what became clear is this is a bit more of a marathon, and we need to make sure we're ready for the marathon. We need to explore other revenue streams, potentially other products, until we make it through that process, basically.
And that's a great segue into my one of my last questions, which is, now that you've gone through this 6-month program and you've had these business development achievements, what do you see as your next kind of milestone in that process, in continuing to kind of grow your opportunities to sell, find customers, et cetera?
Yeah, so for us, I think these things kind of fit together. We have to have concrete in the water, right? And for that, we need to have full-scale manufacturing, and that ties back to our purchase of a large-scale printer that we can print prototypes to deploy in the ocean. So that, for us, is the most substantial next step.
Where do you hope to be in a year from now? Is that printer going to be printing?
Yes, absolutely. We'll have a full-scale prototype printed within a year.
Awesome.
Or very large scale. Maybe we don't need to make it full scale, but it will be a large anchor printed, basically ready for structural testing through another grant that we got. And then one other thing that came out of this I think is really important is the Urban Future Labs nominated us for Breakthrough Energy's fellowship program. We would not have applied, it wasn't even on my radar, if they had not nominated us. Now, we haven't heard the outcome, but clearly that would be a very substantial development that stemmed directly from a nomination and an awareness made through the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub. So in a year, we will be a part, fingers crossed,
hopefully be a
of the Breakthrough Energy Fellowship Program, yes.
And Carolina?
How the future looks like?
In a year, yeah. Where do you see yourself? What achievements will you have been made by then? What's the next step?
Well, we're a small company, and we decided to, we have to really look out for the many different possibilities because before the hub, we never thought about financing strategies or something like that. And the moment that we get there, then we see that, okay, there are many other companies, they have grants, and there are all other companies that have VC money. We struggle because we have to get contracts in order to survive as a company. So we evaluate with the help of the hub of all of those possibilities. We have many talks with you and with other VCs, and at the end we realized that that's for now that's not going to be our way. And what makes us unique and to have like kind of a success with the market is that we are concentrated in this niche, and we would like to stay in this niche. That means that maybe in a couple of years when, or next year, I don't know, when they start installing here in the US, then we will be there. But we will definitely stick to the installation of offshore wind for now.
And Ulrich?
Yeah, really continued market growth, and I think you said it well, thinking about what makes Benchmark Labs unique, and it's really providing, the best, highest performing forecast at any specific point in 3D space. So continuing to develop as, the gold standard in the industry for that, and building that reputation and doing that through validation and hopefully getting some great referrals from our initial projects.
And I'm going to steal this from James, but for the next cohort of the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub, what words of advice do you have to them so that they can get the most out of the experience? Carolina?
use the contacts really. That there is it's incredible the amount of people that are ready to help you if you're part of the cohort. Really take good use of those contacts. They are not just there because they are nice as well, but they are really trying to see also the success of the companies in the cohort, so make good use of them.
Yeah, I would echo that. When Julia sends us emails after we have a speaker, follow up with those emails and connect with those individuals. One of those emails was a simple follow-up to me, I think to the New York Economic Development Corporation, just saying, oh, you said you were the first front door for pilots at ports in New York City. Where's the door? And one email later, and we had, we were moving forward on a potential pilot in a port, which is a major milestone for us. So it was that simple, and it was the one simple email, but it comes from the great organization too, from the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub. So.
Yeah, my advice maybe would be less for the people who are accepted, maybe for the people who are considering applying. I mean, obviously, you can probably guess. I would say, yeah, if you think you're interested in New York, go ahead and apply. You will be investing time, you will be investing travel funds, but I think you don't get back. I think you get 5 times back what you get into it. I think you will open up 5 potential doors that maybe you weren't aware of previously as a result of your investment, basically.
So 6 months, 5x ROI. That sounds good to me as a VC. Thank you all so much for talking to me on this panel. I think it's pretty clear that the Offshore Wind Innovation Hub has a significant impact on the business development achievements of the participants. So please join me in thanking our panelists. And back over to Julia.
Thank you so much. Thank you, cohort companies. You guys know we love you. This is your graduation, and we're really looking forward to seeing you and what's going to happen in the future. Thank you so much to the hub partners, Now RDC, New York City EDC, Equinor, and BP. And I do want to call your attention that maybe in a few weeks, around January, keep your eye out. We're going to launch our second call for innovators. And there will be a lot of this and much more. Thank you so much. We're going to move to a break and then our next keynote in the symposium. Thank you all for coming and attending.